So what I'm going to show you today is how to sew on these patches onto my battle vest. These are two examples of patches that I get from time to time. I'll either get one that's a full rectangle or one that's, pretty much the shape of the words. And these will be a little different to sew on than, the square ones. Square ones are fairly easy. These I kind of have to trace with the sewing machine. The way that I use it is I use a sewing machine here. Don't mind this table. I got this from Goodwill dump bin. And, it's kind of not really that good of a condition, so don't complain about that too much. But, anyways, this is a sewing machine I'm going to use. The thread you're going to use, you should get one that's like similar in color to like the edges and borders of these patches. This one is going to be black, so I'm going to be using black thread. I use black thread probably a lot for most of my patches. There are occasions where I'll switch the thread. Let's see if I can find a sample. Like, I guess this one, for instance, where the edges are, red, I might change that up to a red. That I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to put it. You sew that one on anytime soon. But these are the two that I got recently, so I want to sew them on. Usually I'll sew my patches on. I procrastinate a lot. I'll usually sew it on before I go to a concert, and usually the sewing machine can do it in less time than by hand. I mean, you can probably get a little better job for something like this by hand, but like this, pretty easy just to do on the machine. And one thing that you're going to need for supplies all the time is going to be these little needle threaders. You pretty much put them through the needle hole, and then you put the fabric in there. I mean the thread in there, and then you pull it on through. I already got everything threaded, so I kind of don't want to do that. Another thing that you're going to need, I have it in this little box. You're probably going to need a couple of them. Maybe not a whole lot, but they're not really expensive. You're going to need these things called bobbins. That's if you're doing the sewing machine. Otherwise, you just use like your regular sewing needles. So anyways, that's some basics that I would recommend you stock up on. Especially, the needle threaders, they break, they disappear. Whereas the bobbins, you can just load them up, and so you don't have to do anything. Have to reload a whole one. But anyways, if you already know how to operate a sewing machine, that's pretty good. But I mean, if you're gonna get a sewing machine, that's something you can probably look up online. But mainly, I'm just gonna show you how to do the patches. The settings that I use, it really depends on the patch. So yeah, this is pretty much how I got it set up right now. The string, I forgot, thread tension, I usually keep at a 4. Someone online recommended a 4. And then sometimes I play around with these. For the square patch, I might turn this one up a little more. I saw on a video, because I had a video that came with this machine that said, recommended it putting it at a level 3. So anyways, that's pretty much it with the machine. We'll show you how I set up for the patch. So the next thing with your patch is you're gonna want to try to find where you want to put it. Pretty much can do however you want. I usually try to keep everything kind of conformist, like straight and everything, maybe a little bit of room. But sometimes it doesn't always happen. So like when you're sewing this, you got to be a little careful to make sure that everything sews on straight. Otherwise, it is difficult to actually take them off, because I'm trying to take one off right now, which is this Rob Zombie one. I kind of want to move it a little bit to add a little more space to this, but it can be a challenge to peel them off. So this thing to take in mind is make sure that you place it where you want it. Otherwise, it can be difficult to take off. So the first thing to do is you're gonna want to use use some pins. I forgot what they call these pins, but here's one of them. See, I don't know where the camera is. Yeah, and you want to put them in there to kind of pin them down. You can probably just use like a couple of them. This part I think is a little tricky. I always don't have the patience to do it properly. Now if you want to get patches, there's a couple ways you can get patches. For like big name bands like Slayer, Metallica, you can pretty much find them anywhere. I think people sell them eBay, Amazon. I don't think you will find those at the concerts. I feel like these smaller bands are the ones that'll have like their patches sold at their concerts. And they can be various prices too. So once in a while you'll find one where they'll be like $10, $5. It depends on how big the band are. I feel like the bigger the band, the more likely they're going to be expensive. Like this one, I believe I paid $15 for it. Sometimes quality isn't always great, but you can find them eBay, Amazon, Etsy, pretty much. But on Amazon you can get them as like a pack, like a bundle with a whole bunch, which I've gotten some before like that. It makes it easier because I think I got Megadeth that way and a couple other ones. And I usually put them on when I see the band or I'm going to see the band. So I did a video on how I saw these. So every band I got on this Battle Vest are ones that I've seen. So that's the thing you want to do is pin them down. You could also iron them, but I feel like it's difficult to actually iron them. Yeah. So let's see. Next step would be to get the sewing machine up and running. You just plug it right in and turn it on. I think the setting I'm going to use is a 2 on here on this control knob. Let's see if I can get the machine in there. Okay, and this is a decent machine. I've used it a little bit, and I think I've posted a video on how I got this. I got it from Goodwill for $12.99. So what you want to do is you have your threads down here. You kind of push them back because this is the thread setup right here. Let's see if I can zoom right there. It might be a little difficult to see from this angle. Actually, I could just tilt it. So you want them to both be under the foot. Like, go through here and then under. Like I said, you can find out how to use your machine. Each machine is different. This one might be, pretty easy to follow. But other than that, most of the stuff that I'm showing you is going to be the same regardless of what machine you use. Anyways, there are some that are digital too. Cheaper ones are probably going to be less digital. So kind of make sure you don't bunch up the fabric because you could also mess up. A lot of times I've done that and I don't like how it looks after that, and a lot of times I'm too lazy to undo it because it would probably take me a long time, like maybe 20 minutes just to undo all that. So anyways, kind of don't bunch up the fabric, and you kind of want to just move the fabric through here. Try to be as straight as possible or as evenly as possible. Like I said, I really just learned this on a YouTube video. To kind of like move it along smoothly, because if you don't do it smoothly, it'll bunch up and then you'll break a needle. Because I learned that, pretty much from the get-go. If you let it bunch up too much, it's gonna break the needles a lot, and I had that a lot until I kind of got into this. And it's also a fun hobby. You could really use the sewing machine for other stuff. Also mended some stuff I had as well. And you want to take your pins out too. It's when you get to the point where you're getting close to the pins while you're sewing, you want to pull them out because you don't want to sew over them. It could break the needle. It could pretty much just that. Yeah, it's best not to have to, because it gets annoying to rethread the whole machine. The needle breaks, and sometimes I still get thread breaks on this, but I think it's a lot easier now that I've done this a while. Sometimes you really, like, you try everything. You look on Amazon, I mean, you look on YouTube, Google, and you don't know what you're doing wrong. But that's pretty much something that I had to learn myself, because a lot of people never taught me that, or at least showed me that in their videos. So anyways, if you have to turn your fabric, make sure the needle is in the fabric, and you want to move the wheel up towards you, I think, until it's in the fabric. That way you can lift the foot up. This is another thing that you should learn, is how to lift the foot up on your machine. You can also press it up higher, like if the fabric's too thick. There's like a lever on these. Let's see here if I can show you this little lever that lifts the little, I think it's called a presser foot on here. It makes it a lot easier to move the material around. And having the needle stuck in there, I might need to move a little bit right here. Okay. Like I said, keep your needle in there. Put the foot down. Like, kind of not seeing it. Yeah, I'm using a different setup than I normally do for this video. This is actually my room that I'm doing it in. So you want to, like I said, if you can't, let me see if I can lower this a little bit. Okay, now let's see how that works. So anyways, you want to keep your foot, your needle down. You do that by hand on the knob on the machine. Where is it? Yeah, so that knob on the back of the machine right here is what controls the needle. If you want it to go up and down, you move it manually. And like I said, if you learn your machine, that's something that you're gonna learn. That's why if you ever buy a machine like these, a lot of times looking up videos are a lot easier than the manual. It's like sometimes the manual feels like it doesn't show you as much as what you want it to show you. So you kind of just, like I said, turn the fabric and try to keep it as straight as possible. Sometimes it is difficult. And let's see here. You know, like, you see how I'm bunching up the fabric a little bit? That is something you don't want to do. We're getting close to that needle here. I forgot they're called pins. There might be a specific name for them. But just go to Walmart and you'll find them. It might be called hemming pins or something. Here we go. And sometimes you may need to press. Let's see where the camera. Oh, yeah, here it is. So this button here, it backs up. It makes it so that you can back up a little bit on here. I use it. Sometimes I get a little too close to the edge. Or if I heard that you can also, it also makes it so that you can end your thread. So we're gonna make sure the needle's down. Oop. Move this material. And another thing to take into account is foot placement. So if your foot is on the foot pedal and you're moving this, you could accidentally just sew some stuff. Okay. I think that's pretty much it for this patch. I think I did mess up a little bit. Let's see. Okay, so we lift it up off the material, pull it out, and we'll just pull that out. And yeah, so we just cut this off. I don't know where my scissors went. That's the thing. You gotta keep track of your scissors while doing this. Now some sewing machines have a place where you can cut it on the actual machine, so that's helpful. And now you want to kind of pull these back out, so that way when you start again, you'll be ready. Otherwise, you gotta rethread the whole thing, and that gets a little bit annoying. So anyways, that's how I sewed this square patch. Now your next step might be just to cut over the threads, or if there's some loose pieces that are sticking out, like right here, you just go over that. Make sure everything is to your liking. Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of lazy, so I just kind of wanted to look nice and have it that. So it looks like I did fairly well with that, at least compared to here. Spacing looks kind of decent. That's pretty much about it. So if you ever want to know how to put on a patch, it's fairly easy. I'm probably going to do this one in another video because I don't want to bore you too much. Anyways, you can like, share, comment, subscribe, and have a nice day.